To help us break down the news, Ron Bryant joins us now live on the CW Lexington. Ron, thank you for being with us. He's a noted historian and author, specializes in Kentucky and the antebellum South, and knows so much history about Kentucky, so we appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
So let's go back in time. During the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln did something that didn't make a lot of friends here in Kentucky. What happened that headed Kentucky in a lot of ways towards supporting the Confederacy even after the war was over with?
Well, President Lincoln did several things that upset Kentuckians. Number one, the Emancipation Proclamation, which did not touch Kentucky, but was the handwriting on the wall to end slavery. And there were a lot of Unionists who were slave owners. And so they became very, very angry at that. They were not going to be given any recompense for the lost property that they had invested in. Also, Lincoln's government, unfortunately, put Kentucky under martial law, which there were so many pro-Confederates by the middle of the war. There was a lot of sympathy that was going on for the Confederacy. One of our former governors was actually arrested in the middle of the night and taken to New York to a prison without trial. People were being arrested. Some people were actually being shot even for having Confederate sympathies. So therefore, Kentuckians were beginning to think, well, which side were we on? Were we actually on the winning side or the defeated side? Were we Union? Were we Confederate? And people were becoming upset. Kentucky's economy had crashed during the war. We were going downhill rapidly. For example, even school children, the number of school children dropped so dramatically during the 4 years of the war, it was overwhelming. The economy was going down and down. And Kentucky was feeling we're being treated like one of the Confederate states. We're treated like a conquered state. And by 1863, even the elections were being interfered with by Union troops. And so Kentuckians were becoming more and more angry by the moment.
So Sam was explaining to me earlier, that's why so many Confederate statues were built after the war?
One of the things always remember, and this is what I always try to tell people about Kentucky, Kentucky basically culturally is a southern state. It was a slaveholding state. Kentucky had strong ties with the North, though, economically. And Henry Clay had spent his entire career trying to save the Union. But after all of this happened, many Kentuckians felt, well, we were just treated totally badly. And so there was a shift of feelings, and many families who actually had Union veterans in their family suddenly forgot it. And suddenly the people began to talk, oh, you know, my family actually did support the South after all. And Kentucky went through a conversion. It was called the Neo-Confederate image of Kentucky. Governors, we had 3 governors that were Confederate soldiers after the war was over. One governor actually had tried to do germ warfare, Luke Pryor Blackburn, and he was elected governor. And so there was a saying in Kentucky, you know, Kentucky seceded after the war was over. We began to change so dramatically that up until the 1960s, all Confederate holidays were observed by the state, and banks would close, state offices would close. You would have thought that you were in the heart of Dixie.
Ron, thank you very much. We could spend an hour talking to you, but you've given us a nice window into what it was like after the Civil War, and things have changed quite a bit.
It has indeed.
And knowledge people need to know with what's going on right now.
But we still have the conversation, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Ron Bryant, thank you very much. You can join the conversation by leaving your comments on WKYT.com or on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think.